All right, early morning video for me. So yesterday, the Padres they avoided arbitration with 5 players, as you can see here. Luis Ariz, which was $14 million, which was around the amount that we were thinking. I think a lot of people were thinking it was going to be 13 million, 14, something like that, and ended up being 14. Luis Camposano, Adrian Morejon, Jason Adam, and Dylan Cease. Now, Dylan Cease seems like there wasn't an issue there, which is good. Um, Jason Adam, no issue there. Morejon and Camposano, those were two that ended up being cheap. Camposano, I think, was for $1 million. So with those guys, that's great. No arbitration. AJ Preller, in his tenure, the Padres have never gone to an arbitration, but that could change because the sixth guy, Michael King, they have not been able to reach an agreement. Before getting to Michael King, though, because Dylan Cease and Luis Ariz, they've obviously been mentioned in trade rumors. What does this do now that the salary, like we know what the 2025, I got to get used to saying that, the 2025 salary is? I don't think it does much because that's what we were expecting. That's what I think baseball was expecting those two guys to end up making anyway. Now I am seeing reports that like the Yankees, they're not really going to be going after Luis Ariz, and that's not going to be happening. But those reports can change. Um, Money can change hands. There could be maybe a 3-team deal where if the Yankees, let's say they're trying to get out from Marcus Stroman, and the Padres, they don't want to take that money on, but that's another starting pitcher. They don't want to take on Luis Ariz's money. So maybe the Yankees are willing to take on some of that. And then there's a third team. I don't know what team. I was listening to Talking Yanks the other day, and John Boy mentioned the A's as maybe that team, which, they need to spend money. So that could be interesting. And that third team, maybe they buy prospects. So they pick up money from those contracts, even though they're not getting those players. They pick up that money and then they get prospects from the Yankees. They get prospects from the Padres. Or it's another team that does that. Or who knows? The Padres can find a way to deal Luis Ariz or deal Dylan Cease to create more flexibility. I'm looking right now on the Padres payroll. According to Fangraphs, the estimated luxury tax is $242.473 million. And the luxury tax, the first luxury tax for 2025, I believe, is like 247. But then I look on Spot Track, and it says that the Padres are not at 242, that they're at 225, and they have a little bit less than, actually a little bit more than $15.5 million of room to spend for the luxury tax. So different sites are telling us different things. So I don't totally know the exact number, the amount of room that the Padres have. But if you're trying to bring back Jurickson Profar, if you're trying to sign a starting pitcher out of free agency, there's the DH situation, catching situation. There's a lot there. Sasaki, obviously, but that's for the luxury tax. That's not going to cost a ton. So that's good news, at least there. But my point is, with the multiple holes to fill, you want to have more than $15 million of room, if in fact that's what they have. So we'll see what happens with Cease and Arise. But what happened there, them agreeing, avoiding arbitration, I saw this question on social media yesterday about what that means. Are they here now? They're not going to get traded. The arbitration doesn't mean that they won't get traded. It's just, okay, other teams now, and also the Padres, we know for sure what that salary is going to be for not just those two guys, Arise and Cease, but for the other three as well, Adam, Morejon, and Campy. Now, with Michael King, they're likely, those two sides, King and the Padres, likely to go to arbitration. I'm reading here from Kevin Acey, obviously does great reporting at the UT. The team failed to come to an agreement on a 1-year contract with Michael King by Thursday's deadline. The parties submitted their proposed arbitration numbers later in the day. Padres proposed a salary of 7.325 mil, while King filed a proposed salary of 8.8 mil. So obviously there's a gap of like $1.5 million there between the two sides, and that's a lot of money. Now, that doesn't seem like that's a lot of money for a Major League Baseball team, and it's someone that you want to get an extension done with, and he was your like best overall starting pitcher this past year. How about you give him the money? Let's not go to an arbitration hearing and tell this person why he does not deserve this money. You don't want to do that. And there's a reason why AJ Preller has not gone to arbitration with players since he took over. He doesn't want to be criticizing players when he doesn't have to, right? But what it seems like, if there's no agreement done and looking at the gap, while maybe in past years the Padres would just be like, okay, Michael King, you win, and they give him 8.8 million, or they give him 8.5, or just something close. Right now, with the whole ownership situation, and obviously, remember, they don't have the TV deal, didn't make the playoffs in 2023, so they've lost a bunch of money there. There's just, and then, the payroll that they have, the commitments that they already have, things it seems like are pretty tight at Petco Park. So every dollar counts. And when you're over $1 million apart, again, especially in this situation, then it seems like the Padres, AJ Preller does not, trust me, AJ Preller does not want to be going to arbitration. Again, like I just said, there's a reason why he hasn't before. He probably could have before, he hasn't before. This to me seems like it is the Padres, like, okay, their analytics guys or front office, whoever does this, they collectively came up with a number. Michael King's side disagrees. They have their number. And so maybe it was presented to ownership. It seems like to me this is a Eric Kutsenda or it's a Matt Seidler, whoever the heck is running the show over there now at the ownership level. I believe AJ Preller is still reporting to Eric Kutsenda and Eric Grupner. So maybe it's the Seidler Trust now relaying this to Eric Kutsenda, then Eric Kutsenda relaying this to AJ. Hey, no, we can't just give Michael King over $1 million more. But if that's the case, then this Padres team's in trouble, right? You can't give $1 million over first off, actually, let's rewind, step back here. You couldn't give Higgy a reasonable deal, which was what, like $7 million a year, coming off the year that he had, and he'd be your starting catcher. You can't give him that. Haven't heard a peep really about any offers to Jurickson Profar or really from any other team. So not just the Padres, but I haven't heard things there. It's been rumors about dealing some of your best players like Dylan Cease, like Luis Ariz. It's just frustrating, right? And now we have this where you could potentially piss off your best pitcher, or at least this past year, and definitely one of your best pitchers right now. You could piss him off a year before he hits free agency and before you want to maybe get into contract extension talks with this guy. Because Kevin Acey writes later in this article that the Padres, they do want to get an extension done with Michael King. By the way, the last ARB hearing the Padres had was Andrew Kashner, when Andrew Kashner won his case in 2014. That was before AJ Preller arrived. Preller loathes the idea of a procedure in which the team has to essentially devalue a player over what is generally a relatively small gap in salary demands, but the team drew a line this time based on the chasm between their thinking. Here it is. Where is it? Here it is. The Padres would like to lock up King on a long-term deal, but the sides have not discussed that aim, and there are multiple challenges toward that end, including obviously the CBT threshold. If they give him an extension, the AAV is going to go up because, I mean, look what Musgrove got on that contract. I would think that Michael King would want a similar deal, maybe more money, actually. So instead of paying him even if like you, let's say you allow Michael King to win, or Michael King wins, you give him the money, 8.8 mil. That's still significantly less than what you would be giving him AAV wise on an extension. So part of that's maybe why the Padres are like, yeah, let's not do that. Hey, Michael, maybe they've said this, like, money's tight right now, but we also want to try to extend you. I hope that they've explained why they're not just giving Michael King this money, and there's the potential of now pissing him off. I mean, we've seen the Brewers go through this with their talented guys, and those guys think totally differently of the Brewers organization after they go through that arbitration process. I think Corbin Burns was one of those guys. I think Josh Hader was one of those guys. So it's not something you want to be doing. It's not something I liked reading yesterday, that the Padres couldn't agree with Michael King on this. And yeah, this is a little bit concerning for me. I think we already knew that the money was tight, but if you can't give Michael King more than $1 million extra, what are your real chances of giving Jurickson Profar the money that he wants if there is in fact competition for Jurickson Profar services? Are the Padres in that competition? That's a question as well. What does this mean again for like Michael King down the road in the future? I'm assuming we're not going to be seeing a Jackson Merrill extension done anytime soon, because obviously he would be costing a lot of money, more than Michael King. And obviously he's under control for longer. But I think I said this off season, like Michael King should be the priority right now over Jackson Merrill anyway. But their priority right now, they can't even agree on a 2025 contract first. That's how tight it seems like the money is. Maybe the Padres would say, no, we're fine. We just don't want to, like, we disagree. We have our case and we think we can win it. Okay. And then that gives you a little over $1 million more. What is that? Elias Diaz or some other free agent catcher on a 1-year deal? Like, what is that? Is that a reliever on a 1-year deal? Was that bringing back David Peralta on a 1-year deal? Is it worth degrading, criticizing and saying why you, Michael King, should not get this money, even though he just pitched, game one of the wild card against the Braves for you, and he dominated in that game, and he was one of your best pitchers this past year. It seems like he loves being in San Diego, and this is someone that you should want here long term. It's not someone that you should want to, go be searching to piss off. So yeah, I really hope that they can agree. I mean, the deadline was yesterday. They could agree to a long-term deal and then they avoid arbitration, but I'm not totally sure if they can. I don't think they can agree to arbitration, or I don't think they can. I mean, let me know in the comments. I guess if they like sat down today and they were like, hey, okay, yeah, let's meet in the middle, I agree. But if they've exchanged figures, and if the Padres wanted to not go to arbitration, then they would have given Michael King the money, or they would have had their offer be 8.5 million or 8 million. It would have been closer than what it was. So it seems like that, yeah, this is going to be going to arbitration. King made 3.15 million in 2024, and so he's looking for that bump. He will get the bump, obviously. Just it's a matter of how much. What is that bump going to be? Says here, Dylan Cease received a $5.75 million raise from the $8 million he made in 2024. So King could have a case there where it's like, I'm going into my last year before free agency as well. I want a raise. And again, his side will pull up the numbers and about how valuable he was to the team this past season. He's not 38 years old or anything like that. So he will have a strong case. 29 years old, 2.95 ERA, which ranked fifth in the National League this past year. 201, strikeouts. Second on the Padres in that. 14th in the National League in innings. 173 and two-thirds innings for Michael King. Finished seventh in the NL Cy Young voting. To me, that's someone you give the money to, and you don't go searching to piss that person off. But maybe that's just me, and I wouldn't make a good owner or GM, and that's why I'm sitting here. But I just hope it doesn't get ugly. This offseason's already been ugly for the Padres. Even if they agree or they don't, and let's say even if like the Padres win, them doing this to me should, and to other fans as well, should, if it hasn't already this offseason, turn on like that whatever it is, a red signal in your head, like, man, yeah, money's tight. Higgy first. Now this. Haven't signed a major league free agent or acquired a major league free agent in a trade. What are they going to do here? We're 5 days away from January 15th. Sasaki's not going to commit then, I wouldn't think. He's going to commit sometime in that next week that he has starting on January 15th. But yeah, it seems like the Padres, they're playing that waiting game because then their offseason can change dramatically if they do get Sasaki. But yeah, it seems like there's pinching some pennies over there right now.